The content you're about to enjoy comes from the archives of The Best You. We're devoted to the very best in personal development. With a magazine and resources dedicated to inspiring and changing people's lives, at The Best You, we work with the world's leading writers and trainers on the evolution of the self, and people whose journeys have been affected by their work and words. For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co.
Mr. Aaron Young! We are here at The Best You to learn about, health and wellness and exercise and all the things that, relationships, the things that make life enjoyable and fun and worth living. Is that true? That's the promise of this event. And I'm so grateful for Bernardo for creating The Best You. It's been a really fun thing for me to be involved with. This talk specifically, and I noticed a couple people, when they heard it was a business talk, they got up and walked out. And I think that that's fine. But I want you to know that what I'm going to talk about right now for these 45 minutes is going to be crucial for you to actually get the life that The Best You is trying to help you, find connections for. Because without what I'm going to speak about, it's very, very difficult to live as big and as full a life as maybe you're hoping for. How many people are entrepreneurial here? Raise your hands. Pretty much all of you. Okay. For those that didn't raise the hand, I'll tell at least one story that will be, it won't matter if you're an entrepreneur or not. Matter of fact, let me just tell you this. In order to really get the joy and let me be clear. You don't have to be rich to have joy. You don't have to be rich. You can be, I'm sure Mother Teresa in the streets of Calcutta felt joy for the things that she was doing. But is there anybody here who just isn't who's not interested in making money? Okay, we've got two people. That's fair. Who here is interested in making a difference in the world? Doing something that would be interesting and bigger than just your neighbor, just doing something. Okay, you're in the right spot. I learned like most of us do, I learned through a really challenging time. There have been several really challenging times in my life, and you learn as you go through difficult times how important it is to have health, to have relationships, to understand how to take good care of yourself, and also how to have wealth. So I'm going to tell you a story. Bernardo alluded to it. I'm going to tell you a very short version of a story. This is typically something that you would only talk to your friends or your clients about. And we don't know each other, so we haven't had time to be friends yet. And I don't think anybody in the room is my client. So I'm going to tell you a personal story, and I hope that it doesn't offend anybody or freak anybody out. I hope instead maybe it can give you a little piece of inspiration or a little something to latch onto based on wherever you might be in your life right now. So I'm going to go through, I'm not going to give you all the backstory. I'm just going to kind of go right to the meat of this, which is basically this. I've done business all over the world for 35 years. I started my first company with a payroll in 1983. 1983, I had my first 3 employees, and I had to make a payroll every other week. I've built lots of companies. I've generally gone like this, but there have been a couple of fatal like that. Anybody ever had one of those, something that didn't work? And maybe you lost a couple of dollars or a couple of pounds along the way? Yes or no? If you're entrepreneurs, I'm just telling you, our trajectory doesn't look like this, right? It looks like this. So I've done business with a lot of people, a lot of companies. Back in 2002, it was Christmas time, December 27th, 2002, I'm at the ocean we have a home on the beach. So we were down there for the holiday, and I get a call, and the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, have you guys heard of the FBI? Like every movie that comes out with Tom Cruise in it, there's always some FBI, CIA stuff. The FBI was in my office exercising a search warrant about the owner of one of the companies that we had done business with in years past. We hadn't worked with them for about 3 years, but we had definitely worked closely with them for a couple of years. They were exercising a search warrant. This was a tax-related issue. They were saying that he was helping people avoid taxes. Okay. So I'm on the phone with them, and I said, am I in any trouble? Is this about me in any way? And they said, nope, nothing at all about you, just any documents, any computer records about this other company. We do need the combination to your safe. We need to open your safe, see what's in the safe. Well, I knew I had a bunch of things I didn't want them to be doing the inventory on in my safe. So I said, well, if you can give me 2 hours, I can drive back into the city and I'll open the safe. And they said, great. So I did that. I got in my car, I drove into town, I opened the safe for them. They were very nice to me, very polite, very kind, and very apologetic for disturbing my office, sending my employees home and all this stuff. So they said, if you can just hang out in your office for a minute, we'll get out of your hair. I said, okay. So I go and sit in my office. Pretty soon, one of the FBI agents comes in and says, boy, this fellow that we're investigating has been so, hard to pin down. He's moving around, crossing borders. He's flying in a private plane. Nobody really knows where he is. And, he's been so hard to investigate. Would you mind answering a couple of questions? I said, no, of course, I'll be happy to answer questions. Because in my mind, these are the good guys, and I'd stopped working with this guy because I thought he was a little slippery too. So I'm like, sure, I can answer your questions. So they asked me some what I thought were pretty obvious things, like, do you recognize the logo? Do you recognize the signature? Have you ever seen this document? These were, things you could have answered about a lot of companies, but I did. They asked me questions for a while, and then they thanked me for helping. They left. That was December 27th, without going through all this stuff that happened the next couple of weeks, which basically was me having my lawyer tell me this was a criminal investigation and I should get a criminal lawyer. I got a criminal lawyer, and they said, this will all blow over. You're not in trouble. 4 months later, in April of 2003, I got indicted on criminal conspiracy charges. They said I either knew or should have known what they suspected this other fellow to have done. I either knew or I should have known. Not that I was involved, not that I did anything, knew or should have known. Does that seem wacky to you guys? It seemed wacky to me. And I said, no way. That's insane. So we went to war with the federal government of the United States. And we spent 3.5 years and about $2 million in legal fees fighting this knew or should have known thing. And after 3.5 years and $2 million and no progress, we finally decided to acquiesce to what the lawyers had told us from the very beginning, which is you can't win. The Internal Revenue Service wins 99.5% of any case like this. They can outlast you, outspend you, they'll wear you down, plus they'll be after you for the rest of your life with audits and that sort of thing. So I said, what do we do? And they said, do a plea bargain. We did a plea bargain, agreed to go to prison, and went off to federal prison for 18 months, okay? No restitution, no fines, no problem, just my time. I had to leave my family and go to this place, which, has anybody ever done a dream board here? Anybody ever had a vision board, dream board? Raise your hands. Yes, some of you. Federal prison was never on my vision board. It wasn't something I thought, I was getting my little Eagle Scout pinned on my chest when I was a teenager, when I was off being a missionary for our church, when I was doing, federal prison was not part of the plan. It wasn't part of the trajectory that I imagined. But anyway, there I was. So I'm in prison. And it wasn't dangerous. I mean, I never felt physically threatened or anything, but it was boring. It was really boring. There wasn't much to do. And we had this track, this gravel track that was something close to a 1/4 mile oval. And it had some holes, like potholes and little puddles and stuff in it. But we would, because it rains where I was in prison, it rains all the time. So I would spend hours every day just walking the track, walking in circles. And I would feel kind of sorry for myself. Now, you guys, let me ask you, have you ever done that? Have you ever kind of found yourself having a little pity party? Kind of going, this sucks. Like, I don't really like where I am. My shoes are wet. Like, this is not good. This is not what I thought I was going to get out of my life. I'd walk that track, and I go, oh, today's, Max, my kids. It's Max's birthday. Adam's got a football game today. Oh, Zoe has a dance recital today. It's Chase's birthday. It's my anniversary. It's Christmas. And I would walk the track and go, look at everything I'm missing. Look at everything that I'm not getting to do. Look at all the life experiences I'm missing out on because I'm locked up behind this fence. And I kind of sat in that juice for a while. And then one day I'm walking and it occurred to me, yeah, I'm missing stuff, but a lot of my friends are missing stuff too.
For complimentary resources from my book, my complimentary e-course, The Power of the Question, or recommended reads, go to www.thequestion.com/resources. For more information on my coaching or mentoring, go to www.bernardo-moya.com.
They're in some meeting in some other city. Their airplane's delayed. They're stuck on the tarmac trying to get back to their kid's birthday. They have to work late tonight because they have that. Do you know what I'm talking about? I've got to be at the store. I've got to go see this customer. Has anybody ever been in that spot? Anybody? Can you guys all hear me out there? I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. It occurred to me that while I was locked in prison, I had a lot of friends that I knew who'd built their own prisons. They'd created walls around themselves and they were missing out on their life. And it was a weird realization for me. And I thought, normally in my life, if I wasn't locked up, I'm at those things. I'd learned early on in my career. As a matter of fact, I started that first company when I was 19. I grew up in the Mormon church. I think you guys are probably familiar with a lot of you with the Mormons, or maybe the Book of Mormon play. It's very funny. Anyway, I grew up in that church, and I served a mission when I was 19. So I started this first company, hired these people, had 2 large vehicles out. I was one of the first recycling companies in the Western United States. And we had these 2 big trucks and these 2 crews picking up recycling back before it was done with the rubbish service, About 5,000 customers, and I left and went on a mission. And every day that I was gone, every work day, money went into a bank account, and I was making money every day I was away being a missionary. I learned from that very first business, if you organize things right, they'll keep working even if you're not there. I'm in prison, and I hope this isn't awkward to say, but I think there's a point that will take us into the training I want to give you. That full year that I spent in prison, my take-home pay, where I couldn't have one meeting, I couldn't check my email, I couldn't have a phone call, I couldn't do anything. And I had 50 employees, close to 50 employees, over 50,000 customers, significant business that I had bought and fixed. And it worked. In the year that I was in prison, my take-home pay, if you don't count my prison pay, which I think for the year and a half was something like $23 or something. You know, when you're working for 8 cents an hour, it doesn't add up really fast. But my take-home pay from my business activities was $974,000. So what in pounds, that would be somewhere around 700,000. Does that sound about right? 700,000 pounds, about 25% less. So, I mean, I don't tell you that number to try to be impressive or try to be weird, or I don't know what your income is. I'm saying that most of the people I meet, their business wouldn't throw off $1 million take-home pay if they were in prison. Is that reasonable? Yeah. But that's what happened. So then it was over, and everybody said, can I swear? What the hell? Like, how did your business live? How did you develop these real estate projects? How did you not lose your home? How come you're not broke after a $2 million battle with the government? Like, what happened? How are you still here? How are you still standing? And I was surprised by the question because I knew exactly why I was still standing. It was because we'd built something that didn't need me to operate. It didn't surprise me a bit. That same company now, I haven't had to walk in the door of that company for over 2 years. And yet we grow every year. We've had 7 banner years in a row coming out of the recession. Bigger, bigger, bigger. You could smile and make fun of me, and I think it would be reasonable to say that maybe it works better if I'm not there. It's a reasonable question. And guess what? It probably does. Because most of us as entrepreneurs are not very good at running businesses. We're really good at coming up with cool ideas. We're really good with like rallying people around, but most of us are not really very good managers. And the company will never grow beyond our individual ability to be inspired and to have time to lead and direct and delegate. If once we reach the level of our competency, this is all I got. This is everything I know. That's where the company will stick if you're always the smartest person in the company. So what I want to do is just give you 3 things to consider and to think about as you leave here. If you can get these 3 things started in your life, you will find that you will be able to grow whatever it is you're working on much more rapidly. You'll be able to retain your employees longer or start adding employees properly. And you'll be able to get, and these are such trite sayings, but I'm going to use them anyway. You'll get the time freedom as well as the money freedom. I know a ton of people who have a lot of money, who drive a nice car, who live in a nice home, who are very successful, and you know about their company and you see them and they go, oh, that person's a millionaire, or whatever you say about them, and they have no life. Have you ever met anybody like that? I know it seems like for most entrepreneurs, the more successful they get, the less life they have. And if anybody's been there that's in this room, you know what I'm talking about. You know how everything seems right, and you're like, where did I miss? Because I can't go, you go to the beach, you go on some nice vacation, you go to somewhere, name a place, and everybody's like, hey, we're going to go out to the pool, or hey, we're going to go on this excursion. Somebody was telling me this yesterday at my booth. He said, and I'm the guy sitting there telling my wife, in this case, he said, I've got to finish this code before I can go. Or I've got to finish it and upload it before I can go. You know, he said, I'm completely shackled. I can never be away from my cell phone or my laptop for very long because too many things are depending on me. Too many people are depending on me. So that's what I call shackled. Matter of fact, let me give you the entrepreneurs. I meet tons of entrepreneurs, tons, many, many thousands every year. Most of them fall into 3 categories. First category is the dreamer. The dreamers are the ones that have a cool idea, have a big hope, want to change the world, want to save the whales, want to do something. They have a cool idea, or they've been negatively impacted by something bad has happened in their life. They've become awake and they want to do something to fix it. And they're going to start a certain kind of clinic or a certain kind of outreach or a certain kind of, they're going to go into therapy or they're going to be a therapist. Maybe both. But they want to save the world. But they spend a lot of time going to events, buying courses, reading books, always preparing, but never starting, never selling something. You guys, and now nobody in this room's ever been that person, right? I'm sure that's true. You guys don't even know what I'm talking about. But most entrepreneurs I've met have been a dreamer at some point. And I meet a lot of people, unfortunately, that never get out of that zone. They're constantly studying, but they're reading about how to ride a bicycle, but never getting on the bicycle. Those are the dreamers. Then there's the doers. The doers are who we see all the time. They've got a bunch of booths out here. They've got shops all along the streets. They're the ones coming over to paint your house or fix the electrical or put up your web page or walk your dog or whatever. These are people that are doing something. They're engaging with the public. They're collecting revenues. Some of them are not just consuming all the money. They're reinvesting in the business. They're trying to scale. They're trying to get that employee or 4 employees or 20 employees because their service is catching on. People like what they do. They're engaged in business, right? We all know those people, right? Yes? There you go. I'm used to American audiences, which basically shout you down if you ask a question. Like everybody wants attention in America. Me, yes. Okay. Sorry. So there's the dreamers. There's the doers, which is a lot of people. Then there's the prisoners. They're the ones who now the business has successful but taken over their life. I talked about them a minute ago. There's a tiny group that I call unshackled, meaning they're no longer the most critical employee in the business. They've built something that transcends them, and now they're the owner. They own it. They can do things in it. They can use their genius and do things to improve or create content or deal with big contracts or whatever. But they can also go away. In my case, for a year and a half, and still have not only the company do well, but to bring in a lot of money. It's not magic and it's not luck that creates that. It's being very, very specific. So here are the 3 things I want to talk to you about. If you're going to take notes, now's the time. Number one, these are 3 critical areas that entrepreneurs need to master in order to become truly successful. That's financially and time. And that time will give you more time to travel or to work out or to make your green smoothies in the morning. Okay? 3 things you need to get really, really good at. 1, target. This is 3 T's. I'm going to give you target, team, and trust. But first is target. Virtually no one that I meet, even if they're very successful, if I say, can you define for me the finish line? How do you know when you are a success? How do you know exactly what it is that you were dreaming of, that you finally got it? Because almost all the business owners are just trying to make the next sale. Keep revenue coming in because they have bills. They may have employees, so they've got payroll or health insurance or whatever expenses are prevalent. And then they've got their mortgage or rent, and they've got their whatever, all their bills, all their life. So they're just working to be profitable. They're just trying to make money. It's all about the cash flow. they're almost like a hamster on a wheel, and they're running fast, but they're not necessarily making any progress toward an outcome. When you listen, please listen, this matters. When you know the exact outcome that you want, you will get to it dramatically faster. I had a client who came to work with me 13 months ago. 13 months ago. He wanted to go through some training I do. And I'm not, by the way, I'm not a coach. I don't do one-on-one clients and coach people. That's not what I do. I buy and sell companies, and I teach a course called The Unshackled Owner, and then I do some specific kind of high-level work with successful people. This guy came, and his goal was, within 5 or 6 years, to help his wife leave her corporate job, which was over a $250,000 paycheck. Within 5 or 6 years, for her to be able to leave what she was doing, and they could have the same income, same lifestyle on the things he was working on. He was successful, but they needed that other $250,000. Okay? He wanted 5 or 6 years. The first thing we did was say, let's get clear on the outcome. What exactly, be really specific, what is it you want to do? What will be the definition in explicit detail? It's a hard exercise when you try to work on it. But he did the work. They sat down. They mapped out precisely what they wanted. Okay, that was November of 2017. Okay, so what is that? 14 months ago, 15 months ago? He came to a live thing I was doing in January, small group, and he said, I have a win I want to share. So what's the win? He said, well, we had no clue how we were going to do it, but we had this 5 or 6 year goal. He said, well, we've updated, my wife's given her notice, and she will be out of that job and all of that income replaced in April. So a month and a half from now. So a year and a half instead of 5 or 6 years, no idea at all to getting it done that quickly, simply because he was able to finally get explicit about what the destination was. If you don't know what that is, you will just wander around. And most business owners are wandering around and groping in the dark and trying to make a good decision here or a good decision there, but they don't have a cohesive plan to get somewhere, so they waste a ton of money and a tremendous amount of time, and they go into debt, and they struggle. And the struggle could be significantly reduced or eliminated by just figuring out what they want. So write down on your paper, get explicit about what you want. Explicit. I'm going to tell you one more quick thing, because I think this really is critical. I was just on the program beginning of December with this really cool lady. She's a beach volleyball player. You guys know that's the two people on a team, right? And she was so excited when she found out that beach volleyball was going to be included in the Olympic Games. And she said, I'm going to be an Olympian. This is so freaking cool. I'm going to go to the Olympics. I'm going to work my butt off. I'm going to the Olympics. Her partner said to her, I've loved all the time we've spent together, but I'm going to separate from you, and I'm going to go find somebody else to work with. And the lady I was with said, well, why? And this woman said, because I want to win the gold medal at the Olympics. And the other lady said, well, I do too. And this one said, maybe, but I'm going to find a new partner. So she did. She found a new partner. She made the Olympic team. She got to go and play two games of beach volleyball. She lost both of them, she and her partner. They got to be Olympians. They got to march in the parade. They got to carry the flags. They got to do whatever. But she was in and she was out. Old partner won the bronze medal. The next Summer Olympics won the gold medal. The difference was this one wanted to be a medalist and this one wanted to go to the Olympics. Is there a difference between the two? Do you think there's a difference standing up on the podium? Damn straight. Absolutely. That's a big deal. The only difference was one got very specific, very explicit about what the outcome was going to be, and she got there. Same amount of time as the other person came and played but lost. This one came and medaled because her eye was always on the podium, never just on showing up and wearing the Olympic logo.
For more information on collaborating, partnering, sponsoring, supporting, or speaking at any of our events or finding out more about our legacy clubs, go to www.thebestyou.co. If you're interested in finding out more about the amazing content we have, please go to www.thebestyou.online and get your 14-day free trial now.
Get explicit. Number 2 is team. To be an unshackled owner, by definition, you can't be by yourself. You can't be a solopreneur. Because if you're a solopreneur, you're always going to have a job. I don't care if you say, well, I own a bunch of real estate and I get rent checks in the mail or deposited into my account. I make a ton of money. I don't have any employees. I'm unshackled. Okay, that's fine, but you still have people, I promise you, because somebody's the property manager, somebody's cleaning the places, somebody's repainting and carpeting, somebody's doing something for you, and when that comes up, you do have to deal with it. I have 15,000, maybe more, real estate investment clients. I speak at a lot of real estate events, not just in the U.S., primarily in the U.S. I know a little something about what it takes to own real estate. Plus, I own real estate. I know what it takes, even if you have a property management company. And if you want to scale and grow, if you want to build an empire, then you have to have people that you're working with to identify the deals and to put together pro formas for investors and to help you with the legal things and help you with the reconstruction or the remodel or new construction. You have people. You have to have people. You don't do it alone. And if you have a shop, if you have a business, if you're going out providing a service, if you're by yourself, you'll never grow beyond your hours. You can charge more per hour and you can work more days, but you will max out. Make sense? You will max out at some point. And at that point where you're whatever, your internet marketing business, your website design, your coding, your software, your coaching, your medical practice, any of those things, when you hit the max and you're making the most money you can make, yeah, you guys, they give me these birds. I hope you don't mind, but it makes me feel more close to nature. When you reach that level of your full capacity and you're making the most money you've ever made, you will feel the worst you've ever felt. You'll be the most shackled of your life. You will be completely a slave to all of that commitment that you've made to people. And you're making money, but you can never really get away for any significant amount of time. I see people waking up at 2 a.m. and returning text messages. I'll be working with somebody on the other side of the world, and I'll have sent them something, and they're writing to me at 2:30 their time in the morning. I'm like, what are you doing? I can't sleep. Anybody ever been there? The entrepreneurial witching hour, 2 o'clock in the morning, you went to bed at 11, you woke up, and you're going, my brain's on, and you're thinking, I need to do this, or I've got it. Where am I going to get the money for that? You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, you got to have a team, and the team has got to be smarter than you. The team has got to be better at you at whatever you've hired them to do. The team is an extension of you. The team's got to live by your values and the things that you built this company on. They're an extension of you. But I tell you, they must be smarter than you at whatever you've assigned to them. Sales, information technology, accounting, marketing, operations, R&D, running a factory, whatever it is, if you're always the smartest person in the meeting, you're gonna fail, you guys. You're gonna be unhappy and unfulfilled. The best thing you can do as a leader is have the smartest people you can afford around that table. I'll give you a quick story. I keep looking at my watch because I've got to be mindful of time. Henry Ford, Ford Motor Company, 9th wealthiest human ever to walk the planet. In history, Henry Ford. Revolutionized, made cars accessible to the masses, right? Henry Ford, people thought he was kind of dumb. They thought, how can this bozo be running this huge empire? How the hell, excuse me, I'm getting too excited. How in the world, so there was a lawsuit between him and a newspaper that had really slandered him. And he came back after them, and they've got these great lawyers that are quizzing him on the stand in court and asking him about politics, asking him about world government, asking him about history, asking him all these questions. And finally, Henry Ford, after a couple days of questioning, just slammed his hand down on the witness stand. And he said, I am not the smartest, but I surround myself with competent people. And then he went on to say, on my desk is a series of switches. And if I have any question about anything I need to know, I can flip one of those switches and be connected to the world expert on that topic. I don't need to know all the things that you're asking about because I can ask somebody because I'm surrounded by competent people. Your team, really, don't be afraid that they're going to take your ideas, steal your secret sauce, run away with it, compete with you, hurt you, steal clients. Most individuals who will come to work do not have the risk tolerance that an entrepreneur does. And they're not trying to be what you are. So if they're smarter than you at something, thank your lucky stars that you've been able to bring somebody in that can lift the company above where you could have lifted it. When you get that team organized and you're keeping track of what they're doing and they know exactly what's expected. Okay, write this down. With your employees, we do not delegate a task. This is important. I get paid $25,000 a day to sit with major CEOs and tell them what I'm telling you right now. Write this down. You do not delegate a task. You delegate an outcome. If you hire somebody and say, you're in sales, go sell. They may sell, but they're not going to necessarily sell the most valuable product you have. They may not be selling the thing that's got the best renewal rate. They may be going after clients that they can get to buy, but they're not your ideal customer. When you can tell your people precisely what you want and give them a specific outcome that they need to achieve, they will achieve it. If you further give them flexibility to make some choices and solve problems in the moment, they won't just do the work you've given them. They'll give you their heart and their head. They'll start contributing. They'll start telling you how they could be doing things better, how they can improve the processes. As long as you keep them in the dark and keep them down and keep them controlled, you're never going to get their heart. But as soon as you realize that these are smart people and you've hired them to accomplish a goal, and then you say, I'm going to give you the freedom to do it, those people they'll fall in love with you because nobody's doing this for them. Write this down too. The only way that you can give exceptional service, the only way to provide exceptional service is to make exceptions. And your people need to be able to make exceptions to solve a customer problem in the moment. If they have to go up the chain or come stand outside your door because you're the smartest person and you hold the reins, your company will never grow beyond you. Third thing is trust. President Reagan, back in the 80s, who was US president, Talking about the Soviets, they would say, well, don't you trust Gorbachev? He said, I do trust. We've shaken hands. We've signed something. We trust, but verify. And if you become unshackled and you've built the right team and they know where they're going and you've given them authority and you've delegated outcomes and they're accomplishing that and they know what's expected of them, in order for you to go out and buy the next business or do whatever service or take care of that sick parent or whatever it is that you need to do, all you need to do is figure out what are 4 or 5 elements that show me the vital statistics of my company. Just like in the hospital, here's the blood pressure, here's the blood oxygen, here's the pulse, right? What are 4 or 5 key performance indicators that really tell you, are we winning or losing at the office? Are we winning or losing? I get that little report every business day, no matter where I am in the world, no matter what I'm doing. I get little reports that tell me exactly, are we winning or losing? Based on those reports, I know, do I need to go get involved with something? Do I need to ask some questions? Do I need to solve a problem? Or, boy, I wonder what good thing's going on. Maybe that new salesperson really finally kicked into gear. Maybe that marketing campaign we did, because look, we've had a spike. I can tell the health of the company in about 10 seconds by looking at a simple report. So when you know where you're going, target, you have the right people, and they're empowered to operate, and they know exactly what they're supposed to do, and they're given the freedom to accomplish that goal. And then if you can just have good accountability, good simple reporting, if you do that, it will lift you up above the business. You won't be the most critical employee. That doesn't mean you have to leave or retire or stop doing what you think you're fabulous at. Keep doing it. Do it as much as you want. But be in a position where if you needed to, or if you wanted to, you could leave the laptop, you could leave the cell phone, and you could go away and go down the Amazon River in a canoe and have the experience of a lifetime and know everything's okay. Everything's okay back there. And go for weeks or go for months. Hopefully you'll never have to go and do what I did to prove that you've accomplished the goal. But when you build something like that, you will find out that this promise of the best you, you've gotten it. You've gotten the life. You've got the money. You've got the freedom. You've got the freedom. People say, well, Aaron, you're here standing at your booth. I'm like, I came here for an 11-day trip so I could give 2 45-minute talks. All of the rest of it was vacation. All of the rest of it was playing. 2 weeks ago before this, I was in Orlando. 1 talk, a week-long vacation. Went to Disney World, late slept in, did all that. 2 weeks before that, I was in Maui. 1 hour talk, 5-day trip, hang on the beach, go on a sunset cruise. You know, it's not magic. It's not Harry Potter. It's not the Elder Wand. It's not pixie dust. It's a recipe. It's a recipe. When you learn the recipe, you get it. When you have a recipe for bread and you put all the right stuff in and you follow the instructions, guess what's going to come out of the oven? Bread. It will work. You can do it. You can have the wealth. You can have the time. You can have the chance to explore your dreams and travel and do, or be with your grandkids. Or I raise horses. Go up and go on a 100-mile horse ride. Spend a few nights up in the mountains with no coverage, no cell coverage. You can do all that once you just commit yourself to the idea that there's a reason why some people always struggle, and other people, it seems like no matter what they do, they can just get back on and reestablish themselves and make money again. And no matter what happens to them, they just come back fast. Have you noticed this? Those people have learned that there's a formula. And when you understand the formula, you'll get everything you've ever wanted. I've been working this formula for 35 years. Bernardo asked me to come over here I don't have any order forms. I don't have anything to have you run to the back of the table. I have no special offer. All I want to tell you is my goal is to help more business owners have more years of success in business and make more money. Because when you make more money, when you have more success, you hire more people, you spend more money. Wealth and good economies are built by the velocity of money. How fast are we spending money, doing deals? How fast does that money move? That's when we have a very vibrant economy. You're about 90% small businesses in Britain, in the UK. About 90%. The small business owner needs the help, needs the leg up, needs the knowledge. Just like the cab drivers have the knowledge, you can know every nook and cranny of what you need. Just learn the formula. And it begins with remembering target, team, and trust. You guys, I think my time's up. Thank you so very much for your time and attention today. I'm right kind of over there at G11. If you want to talk, if you want to tell me your story, if you want any help, I would love to do that. I'm here the rest of the day, and anything I can do to be of service to you guys, I'd love to do it. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time.
For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co.